But yeah, in going back to absorbing content and just garage gym reviews specifically, I haven't watched a lot of those. I did try to watch one recently, and I got, I don't know, a minute or so in, and there was like a commercial, but it wasn't I pay for YouTube Premium, so I don't have commercials.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, it wasn't a clickable ad. It was like integrated in the.
It was Coop stopped his review for a minute to talk about some sort of a
Element or something like that.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, and I mean, I was like 2 seconds. I was like, no, this is why I pay $15 a month or whatever, so that I don't have to listen to those. You know what I mean? Like, I turn, like, I'll listen to like old Jay Cutler YouTube channel was basically him just working out in a gym and talking about working out in a gym. And sometimes in my garage when I'm working out, I just miss the sounds of a gym. So I'll turn that on. And one time I was like, I don't know, man. I just kind of tuned it out. I was like maybe 15, 20 minutes into my workout or whatever. And I realized that I was like 7 of those minutes into like a commercial about like Monostat 7 or something like that. And I was like, oh man, like I'm like get gains listening to this. So I was like, I got to do something to stop these commercials. Cause it was one of those that did interrupt. Can you hear those my dogs? Yeah. My foot bumped something, and I have a small dog that barks incessantly at the slightest sounds. You would think that, like the Amazon delivery guy, as many Amazon, UPS, and FedEx packages as I have delivered here every single day, that should be conditioned to it. But yeah, now every time one of those guys pulls up, it's her just doing.
I don't know if you've been on TikTok Shop lately or any time within the past like year and a half, or not TikTok Shop, but like TikTok over the past like year and a half. But like basically like every other video is like a TikTok Shop ad.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, just somebody like promoting a product like or something, and they're trying to figure out other ways to monetize. So you can click on the little link down below, and you can buy it directly from the video, and that's how they get a commission. Which is great for those people.
Right.
But like a lot of times now, like I've noticed if you go into the comments, like I try to see what other people are saying about some of these things that are being showcased. I'm like, oh yeah, this looks cool. Read the comments, and I don't know if it's like I don't know. I don't even know if it's Gen Z, because I feel like half of TikTok is just like people with burner accounts, but like they're all just like, it's like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I'm totally going to get it. How do I get it without using your link? Or how can I, anyone know what I can search? So this guy doesn't get a cut, and it's like, I feel like it's kind of a little bit of like what we were mentioning before, about like, it comes off a little like knowing that, someone has a little bit of an affiliation with something, kind of makes you almost not want to believe them, or like not want to like support them if they're coming off too enthusiastic about something.
Right.
So I don't know if that's like just a TikTok thing that,
no,
there's like a counter movement on that.
Not at all. So it's interesting that you mentioned that. I have a buddy who very intentionally and specifically will not use affiliate links unless there is a discount involved, for him, like, he'll like go out of his way to make sure that when he purchases whatever, that he's not using the affiliate link. I think it's a little bit funny, because his logic is, I've done all my research. I did this, I made my decision. I know what I want, whatever. And I'm like, well, but your research was watching all their videos, you know what I mean? Like, and narrowing it down, because you're not buying things that aren't being reviewed, you know what I mean? Like, and taking all those things, but whatever, you do you. But yeah, so it's not unique to TikTok. I know that, because this particular buddy is not on TikTok at all. But that is the stance that he's taken. And I see people that are friends with people who have affiliations, like what I think of as friends anyway, with people who have affiliations with stuff, that will ask specifically for feedback from people who do not have affiliations. You know what I mean? Like there is.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
People.
I literally was talking to someone the other day about something, he was saying that he wants to get someone's input on the freak athlete hyper pro, it's like someone who doesn't have an affiliation. And I reached out to him, I was like, because I think I saw it on the Facebook page. It was
right. I
don't know if doesn't matter. I don't know if it matters if we say
I
who it
don't
is.
know if it
Obviously,
matters
they'll
or
know who
not.
we're talking about.
We can just go. It was. Yeah,
Yep,
and we can
exactly.
edit
So
it out. Yeah.
yeah, I reached out and you told them, hey man, like I don't have an affiliation with them. I bought it, because of um, all the all the extensive research I've been doing on the old version, and the new version just was an update or an upgrade, and it was Joe Gray who kind of all of his stuff that kind of pushed me over the edge to make the purchase, and gave my thoughts on it. I was like, that being said, I applied to be in their affiliate program, and they've basically ghosted me for the past month. So I don't have anything there, but I know he was asking about that specifics. I don't know
Yeah.
if that held any weight or not, in his
Yeah.
decision.
It's interesting. You almost want to, like, when you apply for the affiliation and get ghosted or whatever, you almost want to, like, not give the feedback. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah.
I'm
No.
not
Yeah.
like the
I
product
told
brand.
him. I
You know what I
told him it
mean?
was an
Like,
awesome product. I was like, yeah,
yeah,
I bought
right,
it. I really liked it, and
right,
that's why I wanted to get an affiliate, because I
right,
know I'm going to be showing off content with it, in the
right.
future. But
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Yeah, I always struggle with that affiliation stuff. So I only have the one with Prime, um, and that is sort of by design. So at one time I did have an affiliation with Titan. I didn't know how to use it. It was one of those things where it was like so when I was there was one time where I was talking with Titan about them manufacturing a product, and I thought that what I would be able to do if I worked out a deal with them was get the royalties and then also get kickbacks on affiliations if people use my link to buy it. And so I was like, well, I better get this thing set up, and then that way, whatever. But I've learned since then that um, there is some tax reasoning while you don't want to do that. But anyway, that's another story. But they so that I had that, like, on the back burner or whatever. I might have shared it once. I don't remember. It wasn't ever anything I thought like I was trying to pursue. You know what I mean? It was going to be like, I've already got this set up, so if this deal goes through, I'll have this, and maybe I can, maximize in some way with that. I think I applied for a Rogue one once, also really, really early. And that was one of those kind of, like, I thought of it as like, I thought it would be like cool, right? To be like, man, I've got a Rogue. And I thought maybe I would get like discounts at Rogue or something like that, since I'm already buying all this stuff anyway. Even if I never shared it, I would at least have a discount for the things that I'm going to buy anyway. And that one, they kicked me back. They rejected I didn't have, they have, as they have some sort of like barriers to entry. They require a website, and the website has to meet some criteria where it can't just look like an affiliate link website. It can't be like Linktree or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And I never pursued that any further. I did have, like, there was a time where I was trying to make my page look a little bit more official. You know what I mean? So I had like a link tree, and I would do like there were companies that would do a thing where it's like, if you refer somebody, you get $20 or something like that. So I had like links to these referrals, you know what I mean? Of like that, and try to, somebody buys this, they get that 20 and I get 20 or whatever, that kind of thing. But I just kind of got to a place where I was like, I don't really care to do that sort of affiliate marketing thing. I really didn't. I'm actually kind of, I don't know if it's like an oppositional defiance or whatever, but I feel like I gravitate more toward items or products or whatever that don't have a lot of, like, heavily reviewed. Like, I get more intrigued by that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm like, well, I want to find out about that thing. I want to know, that thing looks like it would meet my thing. And I'm more interested. For some reason, I'm more drawn or gravitated toward those. And actually, like with Prime, whenever I moved from a gym full of Rogue to a gym full of Prime, over that wasn't intentional either. I wasn't like I didn't set out to do that. I just gradually replaced pieces, starting with the big one, right, my rack or whatever. And that was, they didn't have an affiliation program then. They didn't have, there were no real reviews on Prime products, or anything like that whenever I started that. So that was something that was actually kind of attractive to me. I felt like I was owning this decision. I was pioneering this product, and I was able to give real feedback and raw feedback to people without bias, or you know what I mean, without that looming thing. And from that, and from, you know, some of the stuff that I have like a little small following, being the only people that had like the Prodigy rack or Prime products or whatever. I had created a
That was
little
making
bit
content at least.
yeah, right. Like a little bit of a following of those. I mean, I feel like there's a really small group of us that have the Prime stuff and have had it like before affiliations and things like that. We all kind of know who each other are, you know, on the internet. It's like a head nod or whatever. And
I had a little bit of that with the squat bar, because I picked that up before like almost a year before their affiliation thing. Like basically I reached out to them and like told them about my big coincidentally that you mentioned it, but like a big safety squat bar comparison, you know, video that. And I was like, hey, if you guys, I see you guys have one, you guys are sent it out to the garage gym competition winners, you know, like I'd be interested in buying one, you know, as soon as it's available. And, you know, they actually let me buy it a little bit early, you know, so
nice. Yeah.
I mean, I paid full price, so it's not like, you know, like they did me any solids there. Like they were expecting a review, which still hasn't come out almost 2 years later. But yeah, I mean, it was the same thing there. Like there was only a handful of us with the Prime bar, you know, and even now I feel like on Discord there's a few Prime truthers out there, but you know, it's one of those things where it's like if you know, you know, and I'm sure it was like that with all your stuff.
Yeah, it was like I looked at that like again, I wasn't really setting out to do a lot of affiliations or even a Prime affiliation at the time. It was just one of those things where I'm already here, right? I'm already here. I'm already helping people daily answer questions. I'm you know, on the back in my IM and stuff like that. I'm giving people measurements. I'm showing them ways to make this work and that work, and answering customer service questions. You know what I mean? I'm already doing that stuff. And so I thought, you know, man, I'll apply for this affiliation thing. And, you know, if I get a discount, that's cool. Even though at the time I was like, I already kind of have everything I want. I didn't know what else they would have coming out in the future or anything like that. And so I just thought this is a way I can continue doing what I'm already doing. I've already been, and I feel like because I keep it just to that, like I feel like I'm in a unique position where 5% kickback is what I get on something. And unless you're spending like 10 grand, there's not enough money in it for me to give you a recommendation on something that I don't, you know what I mean? Like I
don't really care about,
you know what I mean? Like
or have any insight on.
Yeah. You spend, you know, $2,000 or whatever on a bench. I mean, I see like $36, you know what I mean? Like before I pay taxes on it and all that. So you know, it's just not like, it's not enough of a kickback for me to be like, and I don't see enough of it, you know, not just on your one, but even in all the other sales and stuff, for it to even add up to anything that's going to like compromise my integrity in giving somebody like honest feedback or my real, you know what I mean? Whatever, even though I haven't, but I get it. I mean, even though I know where my, you know, my self-righteousness and, you know, whatever comes from and all that stuff, because I have an affiliation, people are already going to assume that I have, you know, this motive to sell them on a product or whatever. But
and I mean, like I know for the most part we've been kind of I mean, not really talking negative on affiliates, but just talking about the dark side of it. But
Yeah.
like even with that, I do want to like bring another perspective on some of this too. Like you mentioned about like you're in the DMs all day, giving people measurements and giving all this advice and all this stuff. And um, I don't know like what the extent of your DMs look like with that, but man, every once in a while, I'll have a reel or like or something that kind of pops off a little bit more, and it gravitates outside of my little following that I have,
Hmm.
and the amount of DMs that you get about those, it's just ridiculous. And I try to respond to every single one, and I'm doing the same thing. Like I'm giving exact measurements, and like they're asking, hey, like how did you do this? Like I see you link these products together. Like what's this product? And and 90% of the time they're not really affiliations, because everyone can. I mean, anyone who's in this space or kind of somewhat interested, right? You recognize a rep rack, so they're not asking about that. They're asking about like the little intricate attachment or like things that
Right.
aren't really necessarily gym equipment that I'm kind of using to rig things together, right?
Right.
So I'm like helping people out with all this stuff, and then after that, they like not even like getting a kickback from an affiliate isn't even like the least of the concern. It's half the time you don't even get a thanks or anything. You just get left on red. Like
Oh
you give them
yeah, yeah.
everything they ask for, and they don't even respond back. And it's like, okay, like bro, like I literally spent like 30 minutes getting these measurements to tell you exactly how to connect the isolator to
Right.
Aries, and
Right.
exactly how much clearance you need in here, and it's like
Right.
not even a thing. So it's like I feel like with some of that stuff, like the affiliates, you know, I don't. I guess I don't really know what I was where I was going with that, but it's like, man, it's just that's one of the things that just like irks me. Like we're taking all this time, and if people kind of treat it like we owe them
Like
because we made a video.
right, right. Like you're in the service industry or something, or yeah,
Exactly.
right. Like you're there to entertain. So I don't get clearly, I don't get nearly as much exposure. I've never had a single like reel or post or anything like that that I would ever say has like kicked off. You know what I mean? I've never, nothing, nobody is gonna, my little clips of me plugging in a microphone or whatever ain't the one that's going viral. You know what I mean? So I don't get a lot of that type of stuff. I mean, I get questions that are not related to the thing that I maybe, the main point of the deal. But for the most part, um, it's conversation. You know what I mean? And I really don't. It's the reason why I have the affiliation to begin with, because like I said, I was already doing that stuff. I'll continue to.
Exactly.
It's like if I don't want to respond, I won't. Like I don't feel an obligation, even if you're asking me about Prime stuff and whatever. Like I don't. I'm not like, ooh, maybe he'll use my code and I'll get at $9 kickback and he'll save $9 and we can high five and chest bump when we see each other at the Kmart or whatever. But you know what I mean? Like but I just like interacting with people, I think, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like whether if it's gym stuff or whatever else. I mean, I've got people that, I am back and forth and we don't even talk about gym stuff anymore. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But yeah, I feel like I see more of that kind of stuff like on the Facebook thing. You know what I mean? Like I see people where
Yeah.
you're like,
Hmm.
you answer somebody's question or you give them like this, and then, really well thought out response that's like the most helpful. You know what I mean? Like whether if it's they want something they wanted to hear or not, whatever, it's like the best. And then somebody else just come in and just be like stall mats or whatever, you know what I mean? And then it's like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like everybody has the same voice in those kind of forums or whatever, which is I feel like is different than the DMs or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they come to you because they know they're asking you for your opinion on your thing or whatever. So I actually prefer that type of engagement or interaction and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. No. Sorry. Go ahead.
but yeah, the Facebook thing I think is where I feel more of that kind of like, this is gross. You know what I mean? Like where like,
Mhm.
but
No. Yeah. I mean, um, I don't. I guess Um, I, I feel like I have to respond to every single question.
Yeah.
So I definitely try to. So like whenever I do have a post that pops off, like it's honestly like as weird as it sounds, it's kind of stressful because of the amount of messages that are coming in, and I'll just be like, all right, I'm gonna set aside 20 minutes. I'm just gonna go down the list and respond. But then these people start responding back, and then like it's just like
Right.
like gets a little
Yeah.
overwhelming, and
Yeah. I couldn't
and
do it.
even right now, yeah, even right now, I have like an old video that where I'm showing like the Pioneer uh, adjustable lever belt. Like
Yeah.
it's just like literally just showing all the little adjustments. Stupid little video, like 7 seconds long. I don't know what it is. It just started picking up again, and it's picking up
Oh, that's
in
weird.
other regions of the world. Like I'm literally getting messages from people in like Pakistan now, like asking me like how to buy this belt in my DMs, and like these messages come into my message requests, and they're like literally like in whatever language they're from. And
Right.
Instagram, like now it has a feature where you can translate it. So
Yeah.
I literally translate, and I'll respond back with the Pioneer link. I'm like, I don't know if
So,
they ship worldwide, but this is where I got it. And I mean,
so those are
it's
coming,
just
those are Instagram reels?
yeah.
Huh. I honestly, until right, I am like right now years old or whatever, when I learned that Instagram reels don't just die immediately. If they don't kick off in like seconds, I just assume they're dead. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
I
I guess
never had
yeah.
one come back to life.
With these ones, they were they kicked off and kind of had a lot of traction initially.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they just kind of like never really completely taper off, because like I'll get like notifications about some of these posts, like, and they've been up for like 2 years, and I'll still get a couple of likes or comments, every couple of days or something like that, and they just
Right.
kind of just linger around until all of a sudden they just pop off again. So I don't know if that's
Huh.
Instagram, trying to
Get bored.
push
Trying to,
more ads. Yeah,
yeah, or
so
wait,
they're
yeah, wake
pushing
you
old
up.
popular
Yeah.
content, yeah,
Right.
or they're
Yeah.
trying to push old popular content again, that
Right.
was
Yeah.
successful in the past, because they're maybe not seeing as much new original stuff. So they're like, hey, like
Right.
we'll just go reboost this old stuff. And kind of the same thing on TikTok too, actually, where some of those older posts like that I've made in like 2022, and not even viral ones sometimes, like
Really.
just stupid like little like floating head videos where I'm just talking about like where to buy dumbbells, well, back when everything was sold out,
Right.
some of those still kind of get traction every now and then. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
Huh.
yeah,
Yeah.
back to the DM thing, so I guess like with that, like that's why that irks me so much, when people like
Yeah. Right.
don't respond. And I guess for them it's just one message, they're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna ask this guy. But like for me, it's like I'm getting, I mean, I guess I don't, it depends on the day and the post and whatever, like, but tons. Not at any given point in time, it obviously comes in waves. But so when I do have an affiliate, and I do spend a lot of time talking to someone, at the end of it I'm like, hey, by the way, I have an affiliate with this company. I don't lead with that, obviously. I'm like, hey, you're welcome to use it, like if you're so inclined. Otherwise, like no pressure, like or no
Right.
hard feelings or whatever. And then more often than not they don't. So like even
Right.
then, like obviously, like no hard feelings. I obviously like um was like transparent with all that. But it's just like, man, like some of the time that you spend with like talking to these people, and it's not even like people that you're friends with. Obviously, like you and I DM and like all the time about all of this stuff or whatever, or just
Right.
whatever's going on. But like it's just some of the same people. Anytime a new product comes out or something, like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm like, oh yeah, give my 2 cents. And they're like, okay, whatever. They come back a week later, hey, I'm still thinking about buying this. Like, what do you and it's just like they want
Right.
my approval on it. I'm like, dude, like I
Right.
told you I was indifferent before. It's not something I'm interested in.
Right.
They're like, yeah, but I'm really thinking about it, getting it in red. And like
Right.
I do keep those going, because I don't know, I'm a
I
people
I
pleaser, I guess.
I
I
I
have to
I
keep replying.
I get into those. I entertain those too. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I'll help people make their decisions on those things, even if I'm like, I guess I would probably just pick this one or whatever. You know what I mean? Or like red would be sweet. But like the ones that I will say what has been disappointing for me in that space has been when you get a DM from somebody and you go back and forth for, several weeks or whatever and help them kind of outfit their home gym, and it's just full of like the coolest prime stuff, and you're helping them solve problems. Because like I can remember a specific person lived on, I don't remember what floor, like a sky rise type thing. He was like, I'm way up here. My floor can only hold so much weight or whatever. I'm afraid the weight stacks being whatever. So we learned that he could, Prime actually has these things that they make so you don't have to use the entire weight stack, but it's like a blank, right? That you can put in like at the bottom of the weight stack or whatever to save some weight for somebody who's on like a top floor or something like that. And so he was like, I really only need them to go up to like 100 pounds each or whatever. So they had these kind of like filler things that he could put in. And so he had picked out all this like sweet prime stuff. Right. And I was like, hey, just FYI, you can save 5%, but you have to order it through the website. And so he was, oh man, I live in Brazil, so I have to order it through blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, yeah, right. Well, that's disappointing, but you're going to have a sweet ass gym anyway. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I and I do like whenever I will say, like, for those kind of things, like when you go through and help somebody with that kind of stuff or whatever, and then you get the feedback later where they're like, man, I really appreciate, I'm super happy with my things, and I legitimately, like, I can't wait to see the pictures of it. You know what I mean? Like when you get it set up and stuff, like I really do like that stuff. Like I like getting that, I like seeing that, having those interactions and stuff. I do fear the day that somebody's like, fuck you, dude, I hate this thing. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe, that I didn't buy the Get RX or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that. Right. I share my opinions, and I mean it wholeheartedly. It's hard sometimes to like quantify what it is that I like about certain things. Until I see something that doesn't do what it is that I like. And I'm like, oh, that's what it is. You know what I mean? It's like, this is very easy and convenient. And now I can show you. Otherwise, you're just gonna be like, well, that's stupid. You know what I mean? But if you see, like, for example, the trolleys with the single, front pin thing, and how easily I can adjust it from, inside the rack, or, like while I'm sitting on my bench and that kind of thing. Same thing with like the spotter arms, like my sister is looking at building a home gym, and she and her husband came over, and they were looking at Rogue, and I was like, the Rogue would be great. Don't buy their spotter arms. You know what I mean? They weigh like 50 pounds a piece, and you can't, and I showing them mine. So it's like that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it's just hard to demonstrate that sometimes, or to say it in people, video. Right. So, but it's just those things that it's hard to think through, I think, you know what I mean? Or just put all of it down on paper, for me anyway. But I don't know where I'm going with that.
No, yeah. I mean, I feel like there's some usable stuff in there. I mean,
yeah.
It gives a little perspective as to, like why these conversations could be helpful. Like when we're talking to people who actually have the things versus watching, the manufacturer demo video where, they're obviously just trying to show you how great it is.
Or just sometimes it's problems that don't exist. Like I would never even think about it being a problem until I saw, like, it's not a problem per se. It's a nitpicky little detail that can make a difference in your overall experience, right? So when I see the Rogue trolley thing, it looks awesome. Like it looks Rogue, right? Like it's like overbuilt. It's got the cool LT50 cal thing, whatever it's called, like on it. It looks really cool, but I really do. I see that as, for me, kind of one of those things. It's like when you're sitting on the, 6 feet away from the weight stack, and you're sitting on the floor about to do a low row, and you're like, shit, I need to add more weight. You know what I mean? And like, you've got to, that little inconvenience. It's just one of those things that, it's just one of those things. You can deal with it. It's fine. You know what I mean? But if you don't have to, it's nice. And
right.
I would never even think about it. I would never even go online and talk about what an amazing experience this trolley thing was until I see one that's not that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, that is something that I really
Exactly.
appreciate that I probably didn't appreciate enough before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I think that's the difference that makes something, good versus great.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's like, I don't know, and like with the whole Rogue thing, like the trolley, you have to adjust it with two hands. You have two little pins you have to adjust at any given time. Obviously, like someone who is getting that, they don't really, I don't want to say know any better, but like have any other experience with like rack mounted systems, they might
Right.
not necessarily immediately like see that as a problem, or see that as an annoyance,
Right.
but over time, like you're at the end of a hard set, whatever, right? You're dragging here. You just, took something to failure, whatever. And at this point, you're having to adjust, and then that like you're not able to get it just right. And, like that's when those little annoyances kind of surface over time. Like when you
Right.
have these very unique instances, and that's something, that you find like with the Prime one, you're like, oh yeah, like I can just kind of quickly pop it down. It has the rollers, one hand adjustment, and
It,
never have to think twice about it. And
I mean, it's just like a functional trainer. You know what I mean? Like if any good functional trainer, like Life Fitness, I think even the Inspire, like from Costco or whatever, is the same way. I mean, you don't even think about it. You can just move it up and down or whatever, and it's there. It's quick. It's a non-issue. It's not even anything that you even think about. But yeah, like with that, it's like they kind of overdone it, and it looks really cool. But I think functionally, it could be one of those things for me that's like, I know whenever I go to like a hotel or whatever, and I use like a Life Fitness, and it does that. I notice that. I'm like, this is really nice. This is great.
buttery
This is
smooth.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just easy. I don't even, whatever. But
Yeah. It's funny seeing Rep and Rogue could go back and forth about that, right? Like Rogue is talking about how
yeah,
they're just saving your fingers, so that's why we make you use both hands, so
yeah,
that,
right.
hitting it. And then Rep, on the other hand, they're like, oh yeah, rollers are way too heavy. That's why, this. But meanwhile, you have Prime over here that literally takes the best of both worlds.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel that way, and even still, even with the Rep, I never did like the Rep Aries was out whenever I went with the Prime. Whenever I was considering, I was actually like in conversations with Surplus Strength and Oak Club, and I was looking at possibly just rebuying what I had in Rogue, which was like the dual slinger thing, which was stupid, right? I had this idea that Rogue was going to probably keep with that same ecosystem and build something in response to the Aries on it, or some sort of a functional trainer thing utilizing that stuff, and then I would be able to add it on later or something. So I thought maybe I'll just get just a monster Rogue rack, and maybe I'll get it where I can put a Rhino or something like that in it. At the time I thought I might want those things or whatever. But ultimately, I landed on this idea that I really just want a good cable system, for lat pull downs, low rows, and the functional trainer stuff. My bench and squat doesn't demand much. I don't need a full rack. I don't need, safety straps and all that stuff for what I'm doing in there. And to take up all that much space for my bench and squat is just kind of asinine. So I was, I looked at the Aries thing. I kind of felt like some of the finishes and stuff just looked a little bit cheap to me. You know what I mean? Like the inserts for the like sliding up and down the uprights. I don't really care about the finish, about it wearing off the paint or the powder coat and stuff. That's really not a concern for me. I just think of it and it just looks cheaper to me. You know what I mean? Like, and the handle, the little metals that holds like the handle on, and just the cables, being kind of exposed and stuff like that. And then you look at the Prime, which I'm sure the Prime was probably like 3 times or, at least twice maybe more than what the Aries was at the time. And it just looked like it was one of those, like, this is my last buy once, cry once, even though I've bought once and cried, never stopped crying a couple of times before. It was that for me, where I just thought, I'm going, if I buy that, I'm going to keep looking at this other thing. It's an overall, better finishes. It looks nicer. It looks legit. This and that and whatever. And it's made, but it's technically made for like small commercial studio gym spaces, right? The overlap with home gym stuff with Prime is relatively new. I mean, initially that stuff was good. It's a home gym thing, but really they're kind of catering more toward commercial gym stuff. But
all right.
And so that's something that really kind of spoke to me. Like, if I'm going to spend this much money, because, like pricing it out with the Rogue, I could have got a little bit more, like the Rhino and that kind of stuff. But, ultimately it kind of came down to that cable system and the overall fit and finish and stuff of it. And I think that even with the Aries 2.0 or whatever, it still has that same feel to me. You know what I mean? Like, overall still has a little like Temu look. Sorry, I know I'm like staring at your rep rack behind you. Like just dogging it. And it is not a bad looking rack, or I mean, it's not a bad. It's just when I was spending all that money, it was like, man, I'm not doing this again. You know what I mean? And I know, like I've talked to you recently, and you have your mindset on replacing that with something else. You know what I mean? Like with the 2.0 or something else, maybe even some.
Yeah. So yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I totally get like where you were coming from. Like when you went with the Prime, obviously, it was it's a more refined product, right? And I don't think anyone is going to argue that,
No, if people argue, people argue.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, they argue with me all the time.
Anyone who knows better, I guess, isn't going to logically put them in the same category, right? They're obviously kind of aimed at different people, like you mentioned. The Prime is more aimed for like studio commercial type settings. Meanwhile, Rep is the home gym sweetheart, because they focus on the community, and that was the big, like, I mean, that was the reason I went with it, right? I have 90-inch ceilings here in the basement, so I was not going to be able to do any other. I mean, there really weren't any other all-in-one cable systems like that were like really like prominent in the space. I guess I think Body Solid maybe had something possibly.
Yeah.
Or Gymcraft, or not, whatever the other one is. But yeah, so height concerns there, right? And then two, like budget concerns, So it's like, okay, like it was like right at that price point where I was like, you know what, this actually makes sense, because in a perfect world, I would love to have a functional trainer. I'd love to have a lat pull down. I'd love to, want to have my rack, but I can't really justify those space wise.
Right.
But like price wise, like I'm always kind of like, I was always kind of like debating. It's like, if I get rid of, this reverse hyper, I could, put a functional trainer over here, or things like that here or there, so it kind of checked all of those boxes. So it's like, okay, it's a reasonable price for me. It fits in my basement. And, everything's all in one there, so I don't have a functional trainer as it is, so even though it had a little bit of, some of those limitations, it made sense. And even now, like that I'm looking to replace it, it's more for FOMO reasons, like even now, like the 1.0 still a great product. Like anyone who is buying a discounted one is getting a amazing deal. So but that said, like it's definitely not going to be a Prime type experience. Like, I mean, in a perfect world, if I would 100% have a Prime Prodigy over the Aries.
I wonder if you would. So I don't have the FOMO thing with my rack does everything that I could possibly want it to do. Do you know what I mean? Like for what it is, you're right.
And FOMO, it's not even like for other
It's not,
people, like, comparing to
yeah,
other
yeah,
people,
yeah,
it's
right,
just seeing like what they did to
mm,
improve from the
right,
1.0 and some of the things that I have to work around now that
right,
I'm just like, man, it'd be sure nice. It'd be nice if I didn't have to do that anymore.
yeah,
Like the super wide low row cables, on the 1.0 versus the ones that are
right.
closer together on the 2.0, like that type of thing.
I
Feel more
wonder,
for those.
right? No, that makes sense. I wonder what, like, just hypothetically, I wonder what Prime would have to do to the Prodigy to make me want to sell it to buy the new one. Do you know what I mean? Like they updated their the stainless steel weight pegs that go on the side, like the ones I have a like a hard rubber end cap, or it's like a hard plastic or whatever. The new ones are just a solid like brazed stainless steel or whatever. That I was like, man, those assholes, you know what I mean? Like I don't have those, but I'm not spending $300 to replace those and be stuck with my other ones. But I wonder. Let me think. If they would I want like 3x3 1 inch holes throughout, like on like up? I don't know if that would be enough to make me move. You know what I mean? Like I know, how like some of the knockoffs, like the Bolt Fitness has the Warlord or whatever that looks similar to the
Right.
Prodigy, but it uses 3x3 with 1 inch all the way around. It would have been nice at one. I would have probably liked that at one time, like probably just with the weight horns and stuff. Like I probably would have wanted different options or whatever, but having, being in the ecosystem or whatever and having them and making them work for me with my weight plates and all that kind of stuff, like I really don't care. You know what I mean? Like I don't ever look at that and be like, man, I wish I had more storage back here. I have the storage that's on it holds the things that it needs to hold, and I don't know. So I'm just trying to think if there was anything that they could do that would make me, maybe I don't even know if how the plate loaded one it's got a 2-to-1 and a 4-to-1
And
ratio,
4 to 1,
and
yeah.
you can like switch that. Like that's kind of cool. I don't think I would. I mean, I would have bought that if it was an option in the selectorized, just because I was kind of one of those that was like, do I want 4-to-1? What if I want 4-to-1? You know what I mean? What if I want to do? It would be really cool for like small muscle groups, shoulders and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like to have suit. I mean, it's that much
Hmm.
smoother and stuff, and you can do whatever. But I don't know. I don't know if that is a feature that I would like sell my thing and buy a new one for. Even I
Yeah,
don't
I don't
know.
know, and like even then, like I feel like it's pretty refined. Like they came
Right.
out and they checked all the boxes
It's
that they were trying to do, and they did all of them well. They're not trying to
It's
do
not
too
doing too
much.
much. Yeah, it's not doing too much. And I love that it's like the cables are integrated. You know what I mean? Like it's like built into it. And it's where I get frustrated, I think, when people say, well, that rack's been out for 5 or 6 years or whatever. They need a 2.0. I'm like, they really don't. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
look, I have an affiliation with Prime, right? And I on a piece like that, I would get a pretty substantial kickback, a couple $100. It would serve me really well if they came out with a 2.0, because I would be begging everybody to use my code. You know what I mean? Like I would be making memes and stuff, right? Um, but I'm standing here telling you that it's not necessary. There's just no reason to. You know what I mean? Like I just don't see
Hmm.
anything that it really would need a whole 2.0 to address. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like even the complaints about the low row being a 2-to-1 or whatever. I don't even see that as a problem, because I don't have a fixed pulley on the floor that I have to get up off the floor to change my weights and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I think I just don't see anything that I could imagine. I like some of the stuff that I really like. I like that they have the adjustable height option. Do you know what I mean? Like how you said you got, height constraints or whatever, with your basement. If you were to move to another place, or if or if you didn't have the height, but you had different people that are, a tall person and a short person, like my sister and her husband, for example. Like whenever I was showing them my rack, I was like, for for him, for you might need this short, you might prefer this shorter, stock height or whatever, but you can buy that height extension thing for her husband who's like 6'4" or whatever. And, you can raise that top pulley. With that, you don't have to buy the full kit. You can buy a half kit and just have one side higher than the other. I think that's a pretty cool feature that
I had no idea they had that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can actually raise it up. Like it's got 3 different notches or whatever above the standard height or whatever. And yeah, I think it goes up to, I think it's 103, I think is what the total height is, but there's like 3, every 3 inches or something like that above stock. I'd have to look at the specs because I forget that stuff. But yeah, I think it's cool, man. You can buy, if you have the full Prodigy like I've got, you can buy 2 sides if you want both of them, and you can also put your pull-up bar and stuff along that. So if you want that to be higher, or like I said, if you can still have the dual Prodigy rack like I've got, and you can just buy one side of it and just have one side higher. So if you're in a studio or something like that where you have multiple users, multiple heights, you don't have to add, if you just have one side higher, your taller people can use that for the lat pulls, and shorter person or whatever doesn't have to add an extension piece or anything like that to reach the bar. Have you hold them up to reach the bar, use a ladder or whatever. But I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I think that stuff is cool. It seems future proof to me in that regard. The hard part, I think, for Prime and the Prodigy is if they're trying to compete in the home gym space, the cost factor is huge, and they have found the right balance of integrating 3 different, essentially 2 to 3 different, or 4, I guess, if you consider the squat rack, the half rack or whatever, gym pieces of equipment into one. They found the right balance of having a really good product in each one of those with minimal compromise, right? I think that is often overlooked whenever people start looking for like those all-in-ones. Like some of the stuff that my sister's been sending me on for feedback on is like, it looks like a transformer or whatever, like they crammed it. It's got like a leg press and a
like those jacked up.
That's exactly what she sent me.
Yeah,
the jacked, and I'm just like, don't do that. You know what I mean? It's like, I know I'm always going to be I'm a little. They're brand new to this. You know what I mean? And so you come. I feel like I'm on a different level whenever it comes to like a brand new entrant to the home gym space. And I'm like, look at this $10,000 rack. You know what I mean? It does 3 things that, but somebody's like, no, I'm trying to get an entire gym crammed in there and the least amount that I can spend and stuff. So, I get it. But when you compare it to those kind of things, right, I feel like Prime has done a really good job of minimal compromise on that rack so that the stuff that you get still feels like a good machine for every individual thing that it's designed to do. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, totally agree.
Did you use it at all when you were at HomeGymCon last year?
Yeah, I did. They only had the plate loaded one. And yeah, I mean, that was the first thing I actually immediately noticed too, was the single pop pin, the one hand adjustment, and that it had rollers. Like, right. I mean, specifically because I was looking at the Rogue one, super early, like what they had like launched it or announced it like 2 weeks earlier at the Arnold, right? And then then they had it there. So obviously that was the first thing I noticed with Rogue, was just like, yeah, this sucks to adjust. And I was pointing that out, like, in my stories that I was posting about it, I was just like, I don't know about this. And I have some videos like that I never put up, like of that. And when I visited Primes later, I was like, oh wow, this is awesome. I was like, and I mean, it has rollers too. Like I noticed it was a lot smoother than my Aries 1.0 here,
The handles that it has on there are almost, I don't ever use those. And I'm trying to Trying to think if I've ever used those for anything, but they're there, but they're kind of pointless. The green handles on the back of the little trolley things.
Mhm.
Are you going to HomeGymCon this year? You got tickets?
I am. I am.
Yeah,
I got my
nice.
tickets and actually booked my hotel for once.
Oh,
The
really?
last 2 years, yeah, I booked those like literally like right before they like were saying that
Yeah.
they were selling out, and Jake sends out the little reminders, and I'm like, oh,
Uh,
I should do that. So finally got that booked. Haven't done the flight yet, so
I should probably do. I
probably
have a
sooner
ticket.
rather
I
than
should.
later.
Yeah, I should probably book a hotel. I have a ticket, and it's been like it's up in the air, right? Like I bought a ticket. I'm probably going to go, but I'm like reserving the right to cancel at any time.
Yeah,
If
and
something else comes up.
they like
But
yeah they have the refund policy too, like up to 30 days ahead of
yeah,
time. So
that's
like
cool. I
just
didn't even know that. I
say
just
well they did last year. I don't know if they did it if they changed that this year. I'd imagine they probably kept it the same. So it's like low risk, right? Just buy your ticket
yeah,
right now at the lowest price. Set your alarm, 31 days ahead of time.
right.
Reevaluate your plans. If you're not going, just cancel it.
Yeah, I bought my ticket the day after last year's Home Gym Con when they were like, because I was like, they're not going to get cheaper as it gets closer. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like he's gonna. They were like, I think it was $40, and I think I used either vintage, like code vintage, or nice like Mike,
Oh, not flex.
or
Like that's cool. Whatever.
I might have
No.
used flex.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm
I
kidding.
I
I don't know if I've
I
ever like, I think I've put it on my stories like
I
twice. Like
I
I forget I even have one.
I will tell you a secret. MW Pig also it works, but I think it was. I, I've always only ever shared other people's just because I don't know why. I really do, and I know this is dumb. This is like counterproductive for all the things that we talked about, like affiliations and stuff. But I really don't have an interest in collecting a whole bunch of affiliations. Even I will absolutely talk about Home Gym Con and refer people to it and encourage people to go and encourage people to use discount codes and things like that and save money with it. And I can do that without it being my own. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
um, and that's kind of why I haven't. But I think he added that 1 year or last year or something like that I thought it was like as a joke because like you want one, I'll put it in there, and I was like, nah, it's fine. But like really, I
No,
don't want.
yeah,
I wasn't even going. You know what I mean? I was like, it'd be really weird if I'm like I knew I wasn't going, but I'm like, here, use my code. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. That to me, it just felt disingenuous or something. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, I've got the ticket. I think I paid $40. Maybe it was 36 after the discount. And I kind of figured if I didn't go, I was out $36 and I probably not really, lose any sleep over it. So
right. No,
I
yeah,
think
and
he'll
yeah,
have an
I
option
think
to upgrade.
he just had. Well, yeah, I was gonna say I think they just had a price increase
Yeah,
within
November
the last
1st.
week or two, and then yeah, they just announced they're gonna have an upgrade, which I don't know what that would entail. I guess last year I guess yeah, I guess I might be able to put some additional insight on that. So year one, so I went both years. Year one, I did not get the VIP package. Like I don't know why I didn't. I just because what it entailed was like dinners with the vendors after the fact. You get early access, and when I bought my ticket, I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to go. So like, I don't
Right.
want to be out the VIP price, even though I don't think it was really that crazy, but that was the main reason. But like after I got there and after day one, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like everybody's getting ready and they're talking about leaving on the shuttle, and it's like, oh wow, I guess I'm gonna chill back here. Fortunately I went with my girlfriend, so her and I just we're at the resort there, just went and had dinner the little town one night, and then the other night at the like one of the resort restaurants, so like it wasn't like I was by myself, but it's like everyone that you're
Right.
meeting, everyone that you're hanging out with there, they were all like going to that, especially year one, because it was so much smaller as like a core group of people that were there,
Right.
so
Yeah.
that's what happened there. And like actually another kind of worked out for me in a weird way. Like I don't know if this is this whole recording so far has been a tangent, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
that's my
kind of,
brain. Yeah.
yeah. So it kind of worked out in that way because that second night, like we were having dinner at the resort, one of the resort restaurants, right? And there was a little bit of a waiting time. So after we were waiting for like, I don't know, probably like 30, 45 minutes to even get seated, you know, we're there, you know, kind of like facing the door. And a couple of the rep guys that I had met earlier in the day were coming in, you know, and they were trying to figure out like, you know, how long the wait was. And, you know, you could, I was kind of like watching, they looked a little defeated, you know, and turned to my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, you mind if, you know, we invite him here also, you know, and she was
Right.
cool with it. So, you know, had them, you know, join us instead of them having to wait another hour. So I guess rep only bought a select number of VIP tickets for their employees. So these
Nice.
guys got the short end, but yeah, no, yeah, got to, you know, talk shop with them, you know, kind of, um, you know, kind of form a little bit of a relationship there. And then even then, you know, I think like that's what helped. I don't know if yeah, I think I mentioned it to you. Rep actually invited me out to their HQ here in Colorado because I'm like 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think, you know, that was kind of, you know, one of the
Right.
things that helped out with that was, you know, having that little bit of that relationship. You know, we you know found out, you know, we had a lot in common, and obviously not just being into home gym stuff.
Right. Right.
But yeah, so year one it kind of worked out not getting the VIP stuff there, and then year two, I did opt into that, and yeah, it was they went all out, you know, like it was like as soon as the events, like the day, or not as soon, but like within like half an hour of the event ending for the day, they had like a circulating shuttle, you know, that comes every 20 minutes and would take you to wherever the location was. So uh, the first night it was like a golf course. Second night, it was just this other like super nice venue. You know, they have like a like the obviously, you know, with that ticket it includes your meal and everything. And everyone's there just kind of, you know, just talking about the events of the day. You know,
Right.
so like night one at the golf course, that's where I met Matthew Porter, like, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
Porter
Mhm.
phys ed. Yeah. You know, ran into him, and you know, we just kind of started talking. And now, you know, like he's probably one of the people that I DM the most about this gym stuff. You know, so
Right. Yeah.
you know, it's like you know, meeting him at that dinner, you know, kind of led to a friendship there. And like night two, um, I don't even remember who we sat with. Because my girlfriend went with me night or home gym con year two also. Um, yeah, so I think, you know, we're sitting at a table with the Cleva people, some of the strongman participants, some of the rep people also. So coincidentally, like one of the guy that I met year one was also like sitting with us year two. You know, so it was
Right.
like a random assortment of people there. You know, at
Right.
our table. So you know, it's just a good way to, you know, network with people if you're like in the content space, if you're like an aspiring inventor or something, you know, kind of, you know, rub elbows with people and, you know, form some relationships. And I mean, like some of the rep people, like despite, you know, me being a customer and having never received a free item from a rep, you know, despite all of the content I put out for their stuff, you know,
Still,
I
still, you mean like
still,
right now? Okay. All right.
yeah,
Sorry.
you know,
Sorry. I get
despite
free
all that, you
shipping
know,
all
like
the time. I'm just kidding. I know. Yeah.
no, yeah, you know, I feel like, you know, I have some pretty good relationships there. You know, I would even call a couple of them, you know, like friends at this point. You know, so
Right. Yeah.
and all of that because of the VIP or lack of VIP, you know, at home gym con. So, um, yeah,
That's
I
cool.
mean,
That's the
um,
PIG pass, by the way. What
the
you had.
PIG pass
Yeah, that's the one that's not VIP. Yeah,
is
that's
not
part.
VIP
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
year one.
yeah. The Parks and Gym guy.
Yeah, and I mean, and there it was a really small group of people that went year one, like in
Right.
general, not just
Yeah,
like the
yeah. Right.
VIP
Yeah, it
thing.
was
So
really
it
small.
wasn't nearly as, yeah, it wasn't really nearly as like FOMO-y, but like
Yeah. Right.
year two, like if I had not gotten VIP, that would have been like, wow, literally everybody, like, which I don't know if it was everyone. You know, there were so many people year two that I don't know who would have been at the convention and who went to the convention, didn't go to the VIP dinner. So,
Right.
And year 3 is shaping up to be bigger now. So, I mean,
That's crazy.
if you're on the fence and you're not even like VIP is not even in the realm of a possibility, I wouldn't let that be a deterrent, especially because now it's going to be in Louisville instead of the middle of nowhere, French Lick, Indiana.
Right. I'm interested to see how it goes, especially like so some of the kind of resounding feedback or like overlapping feedback from those who I spoke to independently after year 2 was that there was so much stuff, like so much like overload, like you know what I mean, like they were like, man, I never even made it to that end or whatever
Mm-hmm.
because there was just so many things. Like I thought that I would go and like make all this content, or I thought that I would go and do all these things or whatever, but there was just so much that like I couldn't get anything in. You know what I mean? I couldn't get it all in or whatever, which is like it's like the Louvre of home gym stuff. You know what I mean? For
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like is
Yeah.
what it's kind of what it feels like, what it sounds like, like when you go to the Louvre and you're like, man, I probably needed an extra day to make it through the ancient
Mm-hmm.
Greece or whatever. But
No, yeah, and that was definitely the case for me. Like I was like, I'm gonna go, get all this content, and I know what to expect from based off of year 1, and yeah, it was something entirely different. Like the whole time, like I did get quite a bit of like video clips of me like trying things out or kind of talking to people and here and there, but like it was just like I was so for lack of sorry for sounding a little corny, but like I was so in the moment and like
yeah,
so like engaged that like the content thing just became second nature, and even then, or it became kind of was something that wasn't
went
even
on
in the
back
back of my
burner.
mind.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't even get to visit everything, like despite like being a kid in a candy shop, like just
right,
like the amount of time you spent talking to people, like even a couple of booths, like I wasn't necessarily interested in the products, when I was kind of walking by, but I'm like, oh, this guy's just kind of in this little booth by himself, and I'll just kind of see what's up. But then you start talking to him, and you're like, oh wow, we actually have a lot in common, like, and oh yeah, this thing's actually pretty cool. And
right,
like before you know it, you spend half an hour somewhere you didn't even expect to be,
right. Yeah, that's
So
cool. Yeah,
yeah, it was definitely crazy. And I don't know how some of the people like who like are also competing did it. It's like they probably didn't even get to see like hardly anything. I was
right.
actually planning on doing the Olympic weightlifting meet, but I guess kind of worked out the fact that I got injured and wasn't able to train for it. I probably could have still competed, but like it would have been like not off of a training block. I wouldn't have been able to peak or whatever. But
Yeah,
um,
you should be spearheading a front squat competition. I feel like I've seen you do like 500-pound front squats or something kind of stupid.
not
Something
even 400.
no.
Not even 400.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, I'm like, I think if I have to do that thing where like I have to like bruise myself, for first to it because
Mhm.
I hate doing front squats. I can't do like my wrists or whatever don't bend to do this kind of a thing. So I have to do the choke or whatever. And it just
Yeah.
doesn't, I don't know, but I get, it'll like bruise across my front delts and I've got to like live with that for a few days. And then once that goes away, then I'm okay after the initial whatever. But I never really aspired to put more weight on there than, than what I absolutely had to, you know what I mean? So, but I
Hmm.
feel like a lot of people don't front squat that much weight. Maybe I'm just working out alone, but
Well, yeah, people don't really front squat because like it's like for just pure strength gains that there really isn't like a need to. Like
right. Yeah.
just back squat or just do single leg stuff. But
Right.
for if it's like sport specific, like for Olympic weightlifting, you're having to clean the bar up, and
That
usually
makes sense.
when you're
Right.
coming out of you go into a front squat, so you have to train
Right.
those sport specific movements, and
Yeah. That
that's what
makes
I was
sense.
I was training for a while. So that was the biggest reason why I was doing
Oh,
it.
I see. I see. Yeah. I've only ever done it because it's come up like in some program that I'm doing. And I'm like, I don't really want to do this. Whatever. Okay. I'll do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But like there was one that I used to do where that was like always day one of leg day was like 10 sets of 10 front squats and whatever. And I was always like, man, this day sucks. But anyway, well, man, we probably have quite a bit
Yeah, this is
chop up and
what is this?
out
100 an hour 46.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can just ramble about, go off the rails all day if I, whatever. But
Yeah, stop recording here.